WellPlayed.
All right, my name is Ahman Green. I'm Director of Esports and Head Coach at the University of Nebraska, where I played college football at and graduated there in a degree in geography at the time. So, but from that path, I was fortunate enough to get drafted into NFL third round to the Seattle Seahawks, and then my career started then in 1998, and my career came to an end in 2009 in terms of football. But then now I was like, all right, after about a year or so, when I didn't know it was going to lead to esports, but just knew that I wanted to be in the industry somewhere. And then that somewhere, after I started handing out the business cards, eventually happened. We had our first esports camp this past summer, early June. Went very well. We got kids already wanting to come back for the next year. And it was a mix between curriculum of digital citizenship and esports production or esports planning out an activation. If it's a tournament, if it's a curriculum-driven event, anything like that, we're trying to build the program up so kids can see that it's more than just the video game side of it. There's player development, there's coach development, there's learning the career opportunities that are in esports or in the video game industry. Physical, working out, mental training, and like meditation, all that. It's involved. It is required. I'll say for sure. It needs to be required in esports because there's competition. And what you get with competition is a whole gambit of things that happen to your mind as a player while you're competing. You're thinking about winning. You're thinking about what if we lose. You're thinking about all these things that then elevate your heart rate, makes your breathing do different things, makes your mind do different things. And if you don't get control of that, it's going to control you. How you get control of that is you work out. You do weightlifting, you do body weight movements, you stretch, you do yoga, you learn how to control your breathing. Because when you're just the other day, over the weekend, I was playing some Street Fighter 6. And it's not a new game. I haven't played it a whole lot, so it's kind of new to me. But I paid attention to my breathing in the match that I was about to win after losing 10 matches in a row. I paid attention to my breathing, and my breathing was almost erratic. And I just paid attention to where I got control of it. And then I was able to focus a little bit better because now the breathing wasn't like sounding weird. It was actually more fluid. And I learned that. I just learned that from the FITGMR of learning, the breathing with going through one side and then out the other nostril, just learn how to control that breath. And then I was able to focus and win that match. And I went on like a 5-game winning streak in the game. And I tell my players, even players that I had at Lakeland too, control your breathing. Watch it. You're breathing hard right now. Suck, slow it down, deep in, deep out. Control it on some level, because once you lose that control, and it's because you're reacting to the movement on the game, with your joystick or your mouse and keyboard, you're thinking, you're doing this, and you're like, oh my God, I lost, or I was in the wrong position, and you're kind of adjusting. But when you don't have control of your body, the adjustment is going to feel more hard. One, just like everything else, you got to find something that you like to do from a workout standpoint, and what that is. But all in the same, I just take it on just like anything else and say, hey, if anything you want to do is yoga at the end of the day, because it's a lot of stretching and you learn how to control your breath. And once you do that, that is a lot that most athletes don't have, because they just do physical sprints, heavy lifting. So that's where I find it where I can make it more easy for them and then and not scare them in the whole process. I said, all I heard during the last 2 weeks before this game is how good this team was and how they beat us by 20 points or 30 points last year or whatever. We just lost to them by 1 point in double overtime. So what that tells me is that all we need to do is go undefeated to face them again and then have another opportunity to beat them. That's what I'm ready to do. That's what I'm thinking. What about y'all? And then I sat down, and then everybody just kind of, I think when I said that, it just flipped the switch in everybody's head. They just realized, yeah, you're right, Ahman. We played in this game for 4 quarters plus 2, and we lost by 1 point. And then from that standpoint, we went undefeated. We won 12 games in a row, 12-1, played them in the championship game, beat them 42-13, you know, in the big game. And it's all stemmed from that conversation when my dad, me and I was 8, 9 years old, because he's like, give it all you got. He said, you're coachable. You listen to me. You listen to your coaches. None of your coaches have come to me and said, Ahman thinks he knows it all, or he's so fast, he's so talented, he doesn't need to do anything. He does everything we ask him to do, plus more. So being coachable and having talent is a rare combination. And you know, when my dad brought it up then and now, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, that makes sense, because a lot of the kids that I knew that was just as fast as me, can jump as high as I could, were strong as me, they would miss practice. They would not have good grades. They would be in trouble. They would do things to kind of almost like self-sabotage themselves from what they had. I mean, I had guys that was stronger than me, that was faster than me on the same team. And I'm like, man, if we could take this to the high school level together, we can win some state championships here, you know, at a school. I'll transfer school. I even threw that idea out there to my teammates at that time in Little League. I say, I'll transfer. I say, I'll come to y'all school so we can have this team that, you know, we just won a city championship at 14. Let's look at sophomore year in varsity or JV at a high school. Let's do this. Some guy, and then of course everybody wanted their own thing. And then for me, again, I was just like, hey, I'm a team player. I'll come to your school. I'll drop out, or I'll transfer. You know, I'll ask my mom and dad to move neighborhoods again, just to be on a team that I know that's going to work. And so that, like I said, that combination of me being coachable and being a team player, and then having that ability, you know, my dad, who also had a good relationship with, he was a phenomenal athlete. He was an all-state sprinter. He was an all-state football player. He got a scholarship to Iowa State. And so, you know, so I learned that later in life, was like, wow. So I didn't even know I inherited what I got, but then I took it and I maximized it to its full ability through that conversation. And we had that moment in class where she said, go to the chalkboard and put what you want to do when you become an adult, or when you're older. And I remember when it got my turn, I went up to the chalkboard and I wrote 2 things, of course. I wrote football player and baseball player. And Miss Parker goes, those are too hard. You'll never do either one of those. And I'm like, what? I said, what? Yes, I will. That was the only thing that got my blood hot. So I got in trouble that moment. I got sent to the principal's office for talking back to the teacher. Oh, it was funny, but I learned my lesson. But that was then. I wasn't looking at just being a football player. I could do both of these, because I've done them both. Right now, as a kid, nothing's saying in my head, oh, as an adult, what's going to be the problem? It's like, it's going to be no problem. I could get right to it, because I'm going to do everything else right. I'm going to hit my grades are going to be right. I'm going to stay out of trouble. I'm going to do everything I need to do to be in that position, work out, get sleep, do the things that makes a professional athlete or professional person do and excel at what they do. I'm going to do all that. That's the easy part for me. It's the dedication and the commitment. It just wait for my opportunity to show up and make sure I'm ready when that opportunity gets here. I say helping people. That's as simple as it gets. I mean, the video game side of it is the icing on the cake. But just helping kids realize who they are and what type of person they want to be, and how much control they actually have over that. And I believe today it's even tougher for a young adult to know who they are, because we have so many things out there that distract you. I knew who I was. I knew who I wanted to hang around. I knew what I wanted to do at the end of the day, or if I was bored, I was like, I'm gonna go outside and ride my bike, or I'm gonna go do some homework, or I'm gonna do this, whatever. I knew what I wanted to do, and it wasn't I had to ask people for approval. You know, sometimes, unless it was a group thing, then I knew, okay, I got to talk with my friend here to see if he's okay or she's okay with doing this. But it's basically starting. The first thing is, like I mentioned, knowing who you are first. And then once you know who you are, you know who you can, I say, coexist around. And really for myself, I was coexisting around everybody, different backgrounds from different areas of the world, country, the city. And so I felt comfortable really doing, things that everybody else was uncomfortable doing.
Good luck with this season, and thank you for your time.
All right, you're welcome, Kristen and Leslie and Scott. No problem.
Well played.